Hey, good evening. Welcome in to the PowerMizzou.com Yuengling postgame show after a 31-17 win over the Arkansas Razorbacks. Missouri finishes the regular season 8-4, beats Arkansas for like the 97th consecutive time or something like that. I think it's officially the 10th time in 12 tries since joining the SEC. It was horrifically ugly with weather and a broadcast to match, but it was a win, and you do not apologize for wins. Appreciate all of you joining us here. Got about 200 to start. I know the crowd will grow. We will get to your voicemails, to your chat questions, to Cody Goodwin live from Fayetteville. All of that coming up for in the next 60 to 90 minutes is about usually how long we hang out here. For the last time in the regular season, we will do this one more time after a bowl game, but for the last time in the regular season, our post-game show brought to you by our friends at America's oldest brewery. That is Yuengling. They have been great partners of ours for 3 full years now and appreciate everything they do for us. They're available in 29 states, so what we ask you to do is either live in one of those 29 states, move to one of those 29 states, or at least drive to one of those 29 states and pick up some Yuengling, bring it back, and maybe have 1 or 3 or however many you need to have while you're hanging out here with us tonight. Once again, Cody Goodwin going to be along momentarily. He is down in Fayetteville doing post-game interviews, talking to the team, all of that. But until then, you've just got me hanging out with you, and I will give you my thoughts. First of all, we're going to go to Ron Davis's super chat. Ugly game. Happy it ended with a W. Major questions about quarterbacks next year, and I would let Zollers play the bowl game. I can't disagree with any of that. The bowl game, I don't know, man. I don't think the bowl game is going to just magically get Matt Zollers ready for next year. Bo Prabula came here. He did his best. He was certainly limited. I don't know that he can be your starting quarterback going into next year, but he deserves the chance to play the last game of this season, I think. I don't think, you can't complain about guys opting out of bowl games and not playing and then say, yeah, we're going to build for next year. Sorry, you don't get to play. This is Bo's team. He's the starting quarterback. I understand he's not perfect, far from perfect. He is limited. He is the best they have. I think he should play the bowl game, but we will have plenty of time to talk about that. Look, Missouri threw for 25 yards in this game. 25 yards. They threw 7 passes. None in about the last, 25 minutes of game time, I think. So Kirby Moore did what everybody's asked him to do, right? Just hand the ball off over and over and over. They did that. They were attempting to get Ahmad Hardy the national rushing title. He lost that chance when Arkansas committed its 16th penalty of the game. But it really became very obvious in the last 2 weeks. Guys, Missouri's passing game is broken. I mean broken. They can't do anything with it. And it crystallized for me at halftime of this game why Missouri's season went the way it did. Because when they play bad teams or teams with bad defenses that cannot stop Ahmad Hardy and just Missouri can line up and run the football all over them, they're going to win the game. When they cannot do that, when the other team is good enough to take away the one thing Missouri does well, they don't have a way to win. The top 4 teams Missouri has lost to this year are a combined 40-7. Those are good football teams. You cannot beat them with one dimension. The teams Missouri beat, I don't have the exact record in front of me, but I am very confident none of them have a winning record. South Carolina finished 5-7. Kansas finished 5-7. And I think Auburn's going to have a losing record. Missouri didn't beat a team that's going to a bowl game this year that I know of. But that's real simple. Good teams are able to stop Missouri because Missouri can only do one thing. Now, they do that one thing unbelievably well. Very fun to watch Ahmad Hardy run the football. Hang on just a second. Sorry, had to text Cody Goodwin back, and I am not smart enough to text and talk at the same time. So, got that taken care of. I am back with you guys now. But Missouri does that one thing very well. Ahmad Hardy runs the hell out of the ball. Jamal Roberts is probably the best number 2 running back in the country. Bo Prabula had a season high in rushing tonight. Like, I joked with friends, it was like watching Centralia versus Boonville. It was like they just said, we know we can't throw the football. Like, we don't have anybody on this roster who can throw the football. So we've got this kid who's a really good athlete, and we're going to put him at quarterback, and we're just going to run the ball all the time. And the other team's not good enough to stop it. Again, tonight, that was true. Last week, not true. A&M, not true. Alabama and Vandy, not true. That's how you get to 8-4. Cody just said that Eli Drinkwitz called it a good, not great season. And that is fair, right? Like, I do understand all the frustration, guys. I really, really do. But, like, this is not a bad year. There are a lot of teams in the Southeastern Conference who would like to be 8-4. Now, Missouri is not an elite team. There's no question about that. This is not an elite football team. This is not a top 10 football team. This is a borderline top 25 team. And nobody's saying that is great. Eli Drinkwitz said it wasn't great, but it's good. You finished 4-4 in the best league in the country. You finished 8-4 overall. You got the same record as Tennessee. You're better than LSU, better than Kentucky, Florida, Auburn, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Arkansas. So a 16-team league, you finished tied for 8th. Again, is that elite? Absolutely not. But it's not bad. This season leaves you wanting a little, but it should not leave you angry. There are things that need to get better. I'm sure we're going to talk about all of those things as we go throughout the show. Not perfect. Very, very ugly today, but you don't apologize for winning football games. You could be Arkansas. You could be Florida. You could be any number of schools who maybe tried to hire your coach and couldn't. So, all in all, I get why you want more. You should want more. But understand that what you got out of this team is not bad. And I actually think this was a pretty good coaching job by Eli Drinkwitz to get this team, who lost its backup quarterback and at times its top 2 quarterbacks, its starting kicker, had a one-dimensional offense and bad special teams, to get that team to 8 wins in the Southeastern Conference. That ain't bad. And real quick, before I get to your comments, and we'll do that next, questions, comments, everything in the chat we'll get to, I promise. Just almost a cruel joke that it was Missouri special teams that ultimately iced this game. I mean, it was so bad for the first 3 quarters of this game. And frankly, for most of the last 6 years, if we're being honest. So, like, I had it written in my post-game thoughts. They're not allowed to call them special teams anymore. Like, even below average teams is too nice. And then Oliver Robbins made a 41-yard field goal, and Kevin Coleman returned a punt 63 yards, and that gave Missouri the winning margin, 31-17. Good for Kevin Coleman, man. Like, that kid has been everything you wanted him to be. The numbers haven't been there because, again, Missouri can't throw the football. It's not really his fault. The numbers aren't what they were last year. I'm sure he wanted to have a better individual season than he did. But good for him to make that play in his final regular season game that really iced the win. And it does not erase everything about the special teams. They still were very, very bad. I don't know if I've ever seen 2 bad snaps in one game. They tried to have 3, but Connor Wesselman jumped to bring it down and then hit like a 27-yard line drive punt. I mean, the special teams were horrific and then made 2 plays to win the game. By the way, Oliver Robbins probably should have been kicking all year. So let's see what you guys are thinking. And look, anybody that compliments me, that's what we're starting with. I think Gabe picked this exact score. I did not. I picked 38-24. So I gave each team 7 more. I did pick the margin. which, counts for something. I thought Arkansas would hang around and Missouri would make a play to win the game late. I knew Arkansas would not make a play to win the game late because Arkansas does not make plays to win games late. But Wentz Walking Stick also says we gave them 100%. And that's why in my post-game thoughts, part of it was this Missouri defense, man. I say it after every game, but it just doesn't get enough credit. Guys, that's a good Arkansas offense. Like, Arkansas is a bad football team, but it's a bad football team because it makes a lot of dumb mistakes, including penalties, and it has a bad defense. That is a good offense that team has. And Missouri basically held it to 7 points. Total yards, 246 yards for Arkansas, 4.5 yards per play. I have not had time to go through all of it. I am going to guess that is Arkansas's lowest total of the season. Maybe less against Notre Dame because, they were truly dreadful in that game. I don't have the first half stats in front of me. Okay, I now do. In the second half, Arkansas did not score and had 73 total yards. They ran 13 times for 16 yards. They were 6 of 13 passing for 57 yards. They had 38 penalty yards, 38 penalty yards, 73 in total offense in the second half. 2.8 yards per play in the second half. That defensive performance in the second half was nothing short of dominant. And really, most of the game was pretty dominant. Missouri gave up 1 touchdown drive, and then the offense handed them 7 points, and the special teams handed them 3 more. That is an elite defense. Bobby Petrino for OC. Look, this comes up every day on our board. I will tell you that I was told that Eli Drinkwitz did think about it a few years ago and decided against it. I can't imagine a lot has changed that will convince him that is a move he should make now, unless you think Bobby has reformed himself and is going to be an excellent influence on the program, which is not really a thing I personally think. But if that is what you think, that's fine. He clearly is a good offensive coordinator, but guess what, guys? There's a lot of good offensive coordinators out there. There are guys that are better for your locker room. Bobby Petrino, you kind of like it while it's going on, but everything he leaves behind is just a burning trash heap. He makes places he is worse. What Eli Drinkwitz has done a really good job here of is building a culture and building a program and building a team full of guys and coaches that really do appear to be in it for each other. And that is proven by Missouri did not play well today. That's not true. They didn't throw well. But that team played hard. They showed up. That was clearly not a team that said, we don't care. They cared. And he has done that with this team in this situation, in this game, really 3 years in a row where you didn't necessarily have your goals on the table. There wasn't a lot to play for. And it would have been easy to walk in that stadium and just go, whatever. Because the difference between the Mayo Bowl and the Gator Bowl or the ReliaQuest Bowl, frankly, is not that big. Some of these guys won't even play that game. So it would have been easy not to show up. But they showed up. You don't bring Bobby Petrino into that culture. And if that's unfair to Bobby, if he's a reformed human being, so be it. I doubt Bobby is watching this show, to be quite honest. All right, so we do not have a QB that can get us to the SEC championship game. I agree, and I wrote it. Penn State had Bo in the right role. He is a very good athlete. He is a good package quarterback. You've got to be able to throw the ball better than that if you want to go further than where Missouri did. You don't have to be elite, but it's got to be serviceable. And that passing game right now just is not serviceable. I know the weather had a little effect on it today, but Missouri hasn't thrown the ball well for a month, guys, and it hadn't been crappy weather in every game. The passing game needs to be ripped down to the studs and rebuilt, like I said last week after the game. And this is not something you do before the bowl game. This is not something you do right now. This is something you do in the offseason. And does that mean a portal quarterback? It might. It might also mean, well, you kind of have to make that decision. With the portal now, January 2nd through 16th, you do have to bring in a portal quarterback, I think. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a guy that, like, you're not promising anybody the starting job, because if Matt Zollers comes out and looks great in the spring, I got no problem turning it over to Matt Zollers next year. I want to find out what Matt Zollers is. Also, if he is not 100% on board with, hey, we might bring a portal guy in and you might redshirt next year, then I wouldn't do it, because I don't want to lose him before I know what he is. I at least want to look at it. And if that means next year's 8-4 rather than 12-0, or 7-5 rather than 9-3, personally, I can live with it if you find your guy for the future. Because the one thing Eli Drinkwitz hasn't done here is find the guy. And that's a little bit of a disservice to Brady Cook, right? Like, Brady Cook was good. He got a lot better. And like what Brady Cook did, which I think we all knew at the time, but maybe didn't appreciate, Brady Cook was not the reason you lost football games, because he didn't give the other team the ball. Missouri quarterbacks have had at least one turnover in 11 consecutive games. That is every game Missouri played against an FBS football team this year. The quarterback position was responsible for minimum one turnover. They finished, I think, -4 on the year, maybe -5. That is, with this team, the way it is built, the margin for error, that's not good enough. You cannot give the other team an extra possession every game, which is basically what Missouri's quarterbacks did. So Brady's numbers were a little bit better than Bo's, obviously, but it's not just the numbers. It's the fumble that was 6 against Kansas, and the reason that game was way closer than it needed to be. The 2 picks against Alabama, probably the reason you lost. The Zollers, Jamal Roberts missed exchange against Vanderbilt, probably the reason you lost. The turnover today that gave Arkansas 7, that kept that a game into the fourth quarter when really it shouldn't have been. Like, Missouri is a team that statistically dominated a lot of football games. Statistically was better than Alabama. Statistically was better than Vanderbilt. Lost both those games. Statistically dominated Arkansas, fourth quarter game. Statistically dominated South Carolina, fourth quarter game. Statistically dominated Kansas, fourth quarter game. You know why? It's the mistakes. It's the turnovers. And the passing game did not give you enough where you can live with that. Like, if, people that coach Brett Favre just said, well, he's going to give the other team the ball sometimes, but he's also going to set records for yards and touchdowns. Missouri ain't setting any records. Missouri's giving the other team the football from the quarterback position without the upside. So it's not really a conversation for tonight, but it is a conversation for the offseason, what they do at quarterback. It is the number one conversation. I am good with Matt Zollers as the future. I am good with believing he can be your starter next year. It is a risk because we don't know. We haven't seen it. He started 2 games and threw for 189 yards and wasn't very good. I am willing to buy the stock and see how it goes. But I also understand if they go get a quarterback in the portal, and maybe even, it is a likelihood that they have to go get a quarterback in the portal. Did I read the box score correctly? Did we really pass for 7 yards? Yes, on 7 attempts. I want to point out, this is not the fewest yards Missouri has thrown for in a win. In 2014, Matty Mock threw for, I believe it was either 19 or 21 yards in a 42-13 win at Florida. I believe Marcus Murphy had 2 returns for touchdowns in that game. I believe there were 2 defensive scores. And Matty Mock threw for either 19 or 21 yards, and Missouri won a game by 29 points. So today was not like the record for ridiculousness in the passing game. But look, this also is, God, I'm going to get in trouble here again with you guys. I know I am. And I promise before I say this, if Eli Drinkwitz fires Kirby Moore, I will not object. When the offense is this bad, the guy who is in charge of the offense is responsible. And if he pays with his job, I will not argue with it. I am not fighting to keep Kirby Moore. But, like, what is he supposed to call? That I mean, the second drive of the game, 7-0, Missouri gets the ball back. The second drive of the game stalls because Bo Prabula misses a wide open outlet receiver and, like, just takes off and runs straight into a sack on third down. The third drive stalled in part because they ran the bootleg play to Brett Norfleet, and, like, it's a 5-yard throw and Prabula missed it. And it very quickly after that, it just became obvious, don't throw the football. And Missouri didn't. Like, I'm not even kind of didn't throw the football, legitimately just didn't throw the football for the last 25, 26 minutes of that game. And that works against Arkansas. You can win a game that way. You can't be better. Like, you can't win 10 games that way. That was an Air Force offense, guys. I mean, and yes, the weather was bad today. But again, they haven't been able to throw the ball for a month. And so the concern for me then becomes, how do you go get a Kevin Coleman out of the portal and sell him on this? How do you convince Marquise Johnson or Donovan Olubade or whoever? Like, I don't know if Donovan Olubade played today. He probably did, but I absolutely didn't hear his name. Let me look. I know Coleman caught a pass. But the Missouri wide receivers. Okay, no, Coleman did not catch a pass. Josh Manning had 1 catch for 2 yards. Norfleet had 2 for 13. Jamal Roberts 1 for 10. 1 catch, 2 yards out of your wide receivers. On 1 target. How do you sell that to a wide receiver? So I think it goes back to, what do you do with quarterback in the offseason? It's a huge question mark. And I don't mean to overly focus on this, but, like, it is wild to win a game throwing 7 passes in the SEC. Absolutely wild. And credit to Ahmad Hardy, as I'm sorry says, credit to Ahmad Hardy for just continuing to pound away. Like, teams know it's coming and they can't stop him. And I know Missouri's offensive line has taken heat this year, but, like, it can't suck. The dude's second in the country in rushing. He's going to set the single season Missouri record. He needs, I think, less than 100 yards in a bowl game to set the single season rushing record. By the way, that would be the 3rd Missouri running back to set that record under Eli Drinkwitz. I think he would need about 140 in a bowl game, maybe 150 to break Devin West's record, which actually should be 125 yards more than it is, should be 1703. But his bowl game stats didn't count. But Ahmad Hardy, phenomenal. Jamal Roberts ran for about 600 or 700 yards this year. Like, those two guys combined for well over 2,000 yards. Unbelievable ground game when they didn't have anything else. So, like, if you can find anything to complement that, you might have a shot to have a pretty good offense. ST Richards, I said we have an 8th grade offense. Yeah, I mean, it's not unfair. And again, they went 8-4 in the SEC with it. Right now, the discouraging part is it got worse throughout the year. Now, I understand that the competition got better, but, like, Arkansas's defense wasn't any good, and Missouri didn't throw the ball well in that game. The only game they threw for 250, and the only game they completed, there were 2 games they threw for 250 in the last 9. One was Auburn, when they kind of went into desperation mode and had to throw the ball late. And the other was UMass, which doesn't even count. UMass was the only game they completed more than 60% of their passes in the last 9. And again, this team won 8 football games. That's a compliment to Eli Drinkwitz and his staff that they figured out how to do that with a team really that it was like watching, like, a pre-World War II Army Navy offense. Like, when the forward pass was new and teams thought it might ruin the game and didn't really know how it worked. That was Missouri today, and they won a football game, So, hey, that counts for something, I think. time to bust out the triple option for the bowl game. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing. I don't know who plays fullback. H880 have the best running back we've had in a generation and only had a good season. What a waste. So I do get that point of view. Like, I think it's a shame that I think Missouri had a legitimate national championship caliber defense. Not guaranteeing they would have won it, but like that defense is good enough. Whoever wins the national title, Missouri's defense is as good. Had them in every game. Like Missouri's defense played well enough outside of maybe the second half of the A&M game to be 11-1, 12-0. Kept them in every single football game. But also, what a waste. Like, I'm going to go back to what Eli Drinkwitz said after they lost that A&M game. If the season only is good for the 12 teams that get in the playoff, like, that's not college football, guys. It is the NFL. I'm a fan of a team that has been to 7 straight AFC championship games, probably not going to make the playoffs this year. This is a bad year, kind of a waste. That's true in the NFL. In college football, you're still talking about 12 out of 136 teams that make it. 11 out of 66 in Power 4 plus Notre Dame. You can have, like, it's not a waste. You can be disappointed with it. I completely understand being disappointed with it. But it is not a waste of a season. If you didn't make the playoff. All right. Hey, sorry, I'm running this solo for right now because Billy has some other duties tonight. So I want to catch up on your guys' super chats. Appreciate all of those. Scott Fitz says if you can get 6 yards per carry, you keep running it. Mizzou fans acting like we lost in Arkansas is terrible. Arkansas is terrible, no question. And yeah, I said before this game, the reason I picked Missouri to win was I thought this was going to be very much like the Mississippi State game where I think I said pregame, you can line up and hand the ball off 60 times and you're going to win the game. And that's what Missouri did 58 times. They ran 65 plays and 58 of them were runs. And so it was very much we're going to keep doing this until you stop it. I think that's what Missouri would have done last week. The problem was Oklahoma was good enough to stop it. Arkansas wasn't. Mississippi State wasn't. Texas A&M was. That very much was the second half of the season was if you can stop our run game, you're going to beat it. Not even stop, but if you can relatively contain our run game, you're going to beat us. And then if you can't, we're just going to keep doing it and we're going to exhaust you and beat your brains in. JTMIZ, what bowl would you predict? So I haven't looked at it a lot. My guess is you are going to be looking at the Liberty. This isn't a guess. There's 6 games in the group of 6. It's the Tax Slayer Bowl, the ReliaQuest Bowl, the Mayo Bowl, the Liberty Bowl, the Music City Bowl, and the Texas Bowl. Missouri's definitely going to one of those 6. They try to match teams kind of more or less with the best fit for team and bowl. So I'm going to look at this real quick. Georgia's going to the playoff. Ole Miss is going to the playoff. Texas A&M is going to the playoff. Oklahoma is going to the playoff. If Alabama wins tonight, I believe Alabama will go to the playoff. So that is 4/5 SEC teams in the playoff. The next team, which is probably Texas, is going to the Citrus Bowl. Could be Vanderbilt, but my guess is the Citrus Bowl is going to go, oh, yeah, we want Texas. So those 6 teams are going to the upper tier of bowls. Then the next 6 are Vandy, Missouri, Tennessee, LSU, and that's it. Like the SEC does not have enough bowl eligible teams to fill the games. So like an SEC team may not get to the Mayo Bowl, especially if Bama gets in the playoff. There are 4 teams for those 6 games. If Bama does not get in the playoff, there are 5. Well, no, regardless, there are 5 because Auburn would be 6-6 if Bama's not in the playoff. So there is going to be a group of 6 bowl game without an SEC team in it. I don't know which one that will be. Missouri could go back to the Texas Bowl. They played there twice. They've been two awful games, lost to Navy and lost to Texas in a game. The punter was the MVP. I wouldn't think they would go back to the Music City Bowl right away. The ReliaQuest Bowl is in Tampa. They haven't been there. That's a possibility. The Gator Bowl, I think, also a possibility. That's the Tax Slayer Bowl. So I think those two would be possible. Mayo Bowl also possible. They went to the Liberty Bowl. It's been a few years, but it could be Liberty against Liberty or Texas against like Iowa State, which I don't think would be super exciting, but they seem to like to do that old Big 12 thing. So I'll write about it some on Monday. Cody's going to write about it this week, but without looking at it a little bit more, I have a hard time telling you which one of those makes sense for Missouri. But it will be one of those group of six. Gregory Grogan, what about Sellers from South Carolina in the portal if he doesn't go pro? Look, I'm a Lenora Sellers fan. He was bad this year because he was behind an awful offensive line. Yes, if you can find a way to get Lenora Sellers, that would be great. Now, Lenora Sellers, if he does not go pro and enters the portal, is going to cost a lot of money. So be it. Like that's what kept Missouri out of the playoff this year, in my opinion, is quarterback play. With a higher level quarterback, with Fernando Mendoza, I believe this is a playoff team. I don't know if I feel that way with Miller Moss, who was the first. It's possible. But I didn't think Miller Moss didn't wow me. But the passing game probably would have been a little more functional than it was. But I think that's what kept him out. I think you need to go after the best quarterback you can. And whatever that takes, you need to find a way to do it, because here is the fairest criticism of last offseason and this season. It was the production over potential, right? It was hammer in the portal for Josiah Trotter and for Kevin Coleman and for Ahmad Hardy and this and this and this. And at the most important position on the field, they got their third choice. And I get it, man. I don't mean this to be a shot at Bo. He was unproven though, right? It was why I picked this team 8-4 in the preseason, because I said every first-year starting quarterback, none of them's won more than 8 games this century. There is an adjustment period. I was talking to a friend this morning who said you almost have to get your nose bloodied in year 1 and come back in year 2. And I think that's true. He was a first-year starter going from being a gadget guy at Penn State to starting in the SEC. And I want to be clear. If Bo wants to come back next year and fight for the starting job and he gets a lot better in the offseason, that's great. I'm not against Bo Prabula being the starting quarterback next year. He is, by all appearances, a really tough kid, a good teammate, a lot of really good qualities. He has to be a better passer next year. If he makes those strides, if you see what you want to in the offseason, I am not against him being on. I don't think you need to go kick him out. Not against him being on the roster, but there does need to clearly be improvement. I don't think there is any question about that. Tell you what, guys, my voice needs a little bit of a break. So what we're going to do while we wait for Cody to, I know Cody's doing some writing. He talked to Eli Drinkwitz and a couple players, and he's going to get a couple stories up real quick for you guys before he's going to jump in here. So, but what I want to do is jump and start some of the voicemails and see what we've got. So here we go.
Season's over. Good they kept the coach.
Oh, here.
But they improve next year. And if you care about the bowl game, you're a total loser. Bye.
Look, you only get 13 chances to watch your team play. I'm not going to get all worked up about the result of the bowl game or which bowl game it is or who they play or anything like that, but you guys only get 13 chances to watch your team play. So I disagree. I would not call you losers if you watch that game.
Well, what a frustrating year as we look back and reflect. It's a shame that the offense didn't hold up their end of the bargain here. we could have easily been in the playoffs with a decent quarterback, half-fast line play, and some tight end activity, and we would have been in the playoffs. Too bad. Hope they learn.
Yeah, I get both sides here, guys. I don't have this hot take opinion because I truly do understand both sides. I understand why you're frustrated about this and feel like there should have been more. I also, like I've said already 2 or 3 times, like I think Eli Drinkwitz did a pretty damn good job getting this team to 8 wins where it was. While they lost to the good teams, they still didn't have it. Like they didn't lose to anybody they shouldn't have. Again, the teams that have beat them 41-7. That's a pretty good year. Or that's a pretty shouldn't say that's a pretty good year. I guess I'd say you kind of got what you were supposed to get out of this year. You didn't get any more than you should have gotten, but you got what you should have gotten. And I understand why that's frustrating. And I understand why you want more. I also don't think like it can be a disappointing year without being a bad year or a failure. It kind of depends what the next couple are, right? Before we like if this was a slight step back and you're back to 10 next year, awesome. If this was the new normal and you went 8 again next year and 7 the year after that, then you reevaluate where the program's at, I think. That's just what it is. And drink once more. Absolutely. He does. No question, man. Everybody knows what this season is. Eli Drinkwitz said it after the game. It's good, not great. So, and nobody's arguing it's anymore. I think it's safe to say Sam Horn was probably going to be the starter. Look, guys, he just wasn't coming out of fall camp. Like, he was. Every single person I talked to during fall camp said Bo's been better. I think Sam gave you the wow plays, but I think Bo was a little more consistent in fall camp. And here's what we don't know, right? Like the rumors have gone around that Bo hurt his hand in the Kansas game. And they've never said it out loud because they don't say that about quarterbacks. But he threw for 675 yards in the first 2 games. And I understand it was Central Arkansas and Kansas. Those defenses are garbage. But like Arkansas's defense isn't good, and he didn't throw the ball. Mississippi State's defense isn't good, and they didn't throw the ball. So did something change there? Did they play an injured quarterback a lot of the year? They might have. It would certainly fit. Like it's kind of happened almost every year here. Like I remember in 2022, the game at Kansas State, last play of the first half. Brady Cook walked off the field with his arm like dangling at his side. And Gerard Hamilton and I were in the press box and we said, oh, something's wrong. Like something's wrong there. That looks bad. Brady Cook didn't miss a snap, didn't miss a game. Like, and every time we would ask, no, he's fine. He's out there. Well, no, he had shoulder surgery after the season. So, like, is it possible that Bo was hurt for the last 10 games of the year and they just didn't say anything? 100%. I might even say it's likely because it's happened here, quite a few times. But again, that's fine. They don't have to tell us. Oh, wow, this is a new one. No, it's not really a new one. Curtis Walton, you're such a kiss ass. Drinking more showed nothing on offense. So, look, I have spent the first 40 minutes of the show like saying Missouri has a high school offense right now. It's not good enough to get where you want to get. Though I believe exactly what I said early on was the passing game needs to be torn down to the studs and rebuilt in the offseason. Like, guys, we live in a world where media members are being accused of calling a head coach a hoe. And I'm the one being a kiss ass here for making legitimate criticisms. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want me to call Kirby and drink names. That ain't this show. There, I can tell you where to find it. You can go do that if you want. By the way, has Lane Kiffin done anything? Let me know. But They showed nothing on offense. There's nothing to show. The only way they could win games was to hand the ball off a million times because they couldn't do anything else. And again, if Kirby Moore pays with this with his job, I'm not going to argue with it. That's fine. But I also like when you can't throw the ball and the other team knows you can't throw the ball, I don't know exactly what works. That's my only point in all of this. Is I'm not going to lay it all at the hands of Kirby Moore because, like you guys saw the passing game, it was awful in the first half. And so they just said, we're just not going to use it, right? Like, if they keep trying, they might lose the game. They did what they had to do to win the football game, and it was ugly. And I'm not saying you should like it. Like, the passing game was an F- today. But the running game was an A+, and your C game beat Arkansas, and that's all that counts. Jared Brown, no comment, but the $50 super chat, wanted to say thank you for that. Make sure to get it on the screen, and appreciate you being a part of the show and chipping in, as I do all you guys who are here, whether you super chat, whether you comment, whether you just are one of the 500 people listening and spending some of your Saturday night with us. Certainly appreciate that. Before we hop back to the voicemails, do want to remind you, I think you know by now, we are brought to you by Yuengling. It is, look, it is 6:56. Iron Bowl should be late first quarter. There is plenty of good football to watch. There is, as far as I know, I'm going to check the chat, but as far as I know, still a Lane Kiffin coaching carousel situation to follow. There's plenty of stuff to entertain yourself. Just grab a Yuengling and follow along with the rest of the evening in college football. I'm trying to catch up on the chat now. Okay. Rumor is Lane is waiting to see if Ole Miss makes the SEC championship game. I knew that was going to happen. I 100% knew it was going to happen. Unbelievable. Dan Dorr, has Drink ever had a competent passing offense in his head coaching career? I mean, yes, in 2023, they had a competent passing offense. It wasn't like the elite. It wasn't, but 2023 was absolutely competent. I would argue 2024 was competent. It wasn't good, but it was competent. This year was not competent for most of the year. I agree. But like 2023, not the best passing game in the country, but like Brady Cook had a 5-game run that year where I think he threw for 300 every game, and Luther Burden had 1,200 receiving, and Theo Weiss was a really good number 2. That was 100% a competent passing game. This one isn't. No question. I think the quarterback is to blame for that. I think the line probably is some, and I think the receivers are some too. Like, I think Missouri fans have overrated the talent in the receiving room. I like Kevin Coleman. I think he's a good SEC receiver. I don't know that he's like a downfield guy, but he is a good slot guy. No question. Josh Manning. Look, guys, I've pushed Josh Manning more than anybody, and I don't know. He's a great blocker, but every now and then he'll make you play. Marquise Johnson. I know there are people on our message board that think he's open every single time he leaves the line of scrimmage. I think you're wrong. He hasn't developed into that complete receiver. I think Alubade is going to be a superstar. And so I think that's a really nice guy to build around. Manning's back. I assume I would be shocked if Josh Manning wanted to go somewhere else, but you never know. Marquise Johnson, eligible to come back, certainly. Playing time dropped, and we'll see what happens. But the one thing I agree with there, yeah, Drink is risk averse. He is. I don't think that is a question. But I don't think he is like he tried to get Fernando Mendoza, who is going to be at the Heisman ceremony, right? If he gets him, I think part of the reason he's risk averse is the quarterbacks he has had. Like, tons of credit to Brady Cook for everything he did here, all the games he won, and being on an NFL roster. Like, I would not have guessed it. Tons of credit to that kid. But, like, he's not an elite level passer, right? His strength was keeping you in the game and making plays to win it at the right time. So I think it's unfair. Like, it's fair to criticize Drinkwitz for not getting one of those dudes, but also I don't think it's fair to say his offense is never going to be different until I see it with one of those dudes, you know? And it's chicken or the egg. Like, can he not get one of those guys because of what the offense is, or is the offense what it is because he can't get one of those guys? I don't know. We'll see. But all you can do is go back and try to get one of those guys again next time. Hang on one second. Sorry, I'm in the middle of 18 different things trying to return some text. Okay, got that text returned. Let's head back to the voicemail line and see what we've got.
Hey Gabe, hey Cody. Hope all's well. You guys enjoyed the Thanksgiving holiday. Obviously not a great win, but hey, came into this one 4.5-point favorites. You won by 14, so kind of got to count your chickens when you can. Bummed Ahmad couldn't get that record, and go figure. It's the Arkansas penalties that cost him. My big thing for this one is, Bo is who he is. We've known who Bo Prabula is for a while now. Obviously, only having 4 complete passes is alarming, but my big thing with him is, he did enough to get the win. And in my mind, that's all that really matters, regardless whether you win by 1 point or 100 points, it goes down as a win in the win column, and that's all that really matters. And that's all I'm going to be focusing on. I do wonder if there's any truth to that alleged he broke his hand after the KU game. Great job by the defense. They were awesome as always. Special teams and offense put them in some bad positions, and they responded really well. Sacks by both Trotter and Damon. And my question for you guys is, do you think either one of them will be coming back next year? And if so, which one is more likely to come back between Trotter and Damon? Hope all is well.
Yeah, so good call. I agree with the only thing I'll disagree with there, not a great win. They're all great, guys. Like, you never apologize for winning a football game. Wasn't pretty. Art museums or football museums asking for the film of that one, but you don't apologize. Damon Wilson's gone. There's 0 chance that kid's coming back. He's probably a first round pick, but he's going to go pro. But my guess is he's played his last game for Missouri. I would be surprised if we see him. Like, he shouldn't play a bowl game. If he wants to play, you absolutely let him play. But I wouldn't be shocked if he does not play. Josiah Trotter, I don't know. Like, linebackers, I don't think he's a first round pick. I think you can pay that kid enough money in NIL to manage to convince him. Now, and again, Drink has talked so much about these multi-year contracts. Maybe it's already promised. Maybe he's set. I don't know. We'll see if we can find some of that stuff out in the practices leading up to bowl game and off season leading up to the portal and stuff like that. He is eligible to go pro because he's a redshirt sophomore, but he's really good. But linebacker is a position that doesn't generally start going till the late teens. And I mean, you've got to be unbelievable to be a first round pick as a linebacker. It's just generally, like, you guys remember Nick Bolton, second round pick, Now I think Trotter is probably a little bit better overall college player than Nick was, just because I think he's more athletic. I think he's faster. But I don't know. I would think he'll come back. Again, could be wrong, but that is just my opinion. All right, I'm going to go to the next one.
Gabe. God bless Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts. Without them, Mizzou would be up shit creek. It's so fire Eric Link. Because, God, that was putrid. And if Kevin Coleman didn't make 7 out of the 11 people on Arkansas's punt miss, it would have been the most horrid special teams day maybe in college sports. Glad it's over. I think everybody watching that wanted to gouge their eyeballs out, but we're all degenerates and kept watching them anyway. We'll see what shitty bowl game we're in and then move on to next year. But Ahmad Hardy's a dude, and I still feel bad for this defense. MIZ.
All fair. But look, like, this is what we do, right? We give Kevin Coleman credit for the return, and we blame all the bad stuff on Eric Link. Like, I don't know, maybe Eric Link deserves a little credit for the return. I'm not saying he's done a great job. We've crapped on the special teams the whole show and the whole year, and fairly so. But like, we can't just say, well, you get all the bad stuff and the players get all the good stuff. I know that's what we do with all coaches. But it's why the assessment is a little bit flawed. Here's my biggest problem with special teams. Like, how was Oliver Robbins not the kicker all year? Like, he's better. He made a 49-yarder against A&M. He made the 41-yarder tonight. Like, he doesn't have the issues with the operation time, like they said in the last game with Robbie Meyer. Like, I'm not blaming them for not having a backup kicker. Nobody counts on the kicker, getting hurt at the beginning of the year. But like, Oliver Robbins is better. And why did we not figure that out until game 11? I don't know.
Hey, Gabe. Hey, Cody. This is not even strictly a Mizzou question, though I guess it kind of can apply. Why don't more offenses run the wing T or some sort of like run first or run only offense? The most potent thing you can do in a college football game is run the ball, and when no one can stop it, and pick up 3 yards at a time and just slowly drain the life out of another team. And I other than it being less fun and less sophisticated, I guess, than like a combined aerial attack, I don't understand why that isn't tried in a major conference way outside of the service academies.
Yeah, it's a fair question. I mean, Missouri kind of did today. But as a general rule, I think it's because, like, how do you recruit guys to play in that? Like, are you getting a wide receiver to come? And like, I think it's really hard to just, again, I think Missouri could win 8 games that way. I don't think Missouri can get to the playoff that way. And the goal isn't win 8 games. The goal is win 10, 11, get to the playoff. And we saw, like, Missouri was good enough this year to beat South Carolina and Arkansas and Kansas and Mississippi State. It was not good enough to beat the good teams on the schedule. So I think that's why, because there's a ceiling to it. I know it was different. And like, I grew up watching Nebraska, Colorado, and Oklahoma dominate the country running the triple option. So, but you just can't really do that anymore. And I'm not necessarily enough of a football guy to be able to tell you exactly why it is, but that's how it is.
Hi, Gabe. This is Sam from St. Peter, Missouri, Mizzou alum. My question, or first, salary 30,000, car 2014 Honda CRV. My question is, what are your projections for Mizzou's bowl game? And in your opinion, do you think Matt Zollers will be the starting quarterback next season, or Bo Prabula?
Yeah, bowl game we talked about a little bit. Drew King would be proud, by the way, following the rules. Bowl game, like I said, it's going to be one of those 6. I don't know enough yet to hand. Like, I gotta look at the matchups, and like, I don't think you're going where Iowa goes. You just played them last year. I could see Missouri, Illinois in the ReliaQuest Bowl, something like that. But I got to do a little more homework on that before I have any idea. So I think it's, rather than is Zollers or Prabula the starter, let's do like an either, neither, both on the roster next year. I would handicap either as the most likely. I would say neither is the least likely, and I would say both is in the middle. Like, if Bo comes back next year, again, I don't think you can just hand him the starting job. So he has to be willing to compete for the job to come back. If he comes back and does win the job, Zollers has to be okay kind of redshirting, because I don't think you want to risk Zollers saying I'm out after next year. Because I want to find out if the kid's good. So I think the most likely scenario is you have one of those guys. I think it's more likely they both stay than that neither of them stay. But I think you have to assume one of them is probably leaving. And like I think for the future, like I think you try harder to keep Matt than you do Bo, because I think the ceiling is higher. Now that again, I am absolutely fine with Bo Perbule being on this roster and competing for the starting quarterback job. I can't be clear. I am not saying kick him out. But like I do think it has to be a competition in that case.
Hey, Gabe. Hey, Cody. Conrad calling in, $90,000, Honda CRV. What is it about Missouri's scheme that allows them to dominate these mid to bottom tier SEC teams, but then struggle so much on offense whenever we come in to play those top tier SEC teams? Of course, I'm looking at the passing game here, but it seems like a problem that extends with something with the scheme the past 2 to 3 years. Not just this year with our quarterback struggling to throw the ball, but the past couple years. Thanks.
Yeah, I think it's really the teams that they just physically dominate on the line of scrimmage they can beat. And the teams that can match them up front and force them to throw the football, they can't beat. I don't think it's honestly any more complex than that. That's why they beat all the teams they're better than and lose to all the teams that they're worse than. It's that simple. We welcome Cody Goodwin dressed up for the finale at Fayetteville, Arkansas. Cody, like my voice hurts, so I don't know, man. Just talk for a minute about what you thought.
It was a weird game, but it was like weirdly entertaining for a lot of the game because it like, I don't know, like I'll be honest, like I was probably half paying attention just because it was Missouri, Arkansas. There really wasn't a whole lot going on to it. Like it got kind of interesting because of some weird stuff. Clearly the field was really slick, right? So like in, early in the game, we're like, all right, 2 high snaps. That's, we're marking it down as special teams. And then the refs slip. So then it's like, oh, okay, maybe that's not a special teams thing. I know we still have plenty of things to whine about when it comes to special teams, and we'll get there. Yeah. So, like the refs slip. So it's like, okay, that's, that's kind of funny. It was maybe slow moving for a little bit in the third quarter after Missouri took the lead again. But this was one of those where it's like after Missouri took the lead, they kind of sat on them, right? Like a couple of mistakes in the first half led to Arkansas scoring 10 points. The high snap that led to the touchdown on the punt. They missed an extra point. There was the fumble that obviously resulted directly in 7 points. So yeah, just like a couple of silly mistakes in the first half, which kept Arkansas in it. But like this game kind of went how I thought it would. Like if anybody read the breakdown or my final thoughts, I kind of thought that Missouri would be able to run the ball down Arkansas's throats. They did that. I kind of thought that the defense just was not a good matchup for what Arkansas likes to do, which they like to run the ball to set up some chunk pass plays. But really, like if you can stop Arkansas from running the ball, you're pretty much going to bottle up this offense. And that's more or less what Missouri did. There were a few leaky plays. There were a couple of passes here and there that got out. But otherwise, like once Missouri quit making mistakes and just decided to hand the ball off a bajillion times, they sat on Arkansas and they won the game. And that was just kind of the way it went. And so, yeah, I mean, some of the highlights, like the Santana banner flash, the pass rush finally got home in the second half because I think they were just finally wearing down Arkansas's offensive line. Also offensive, part of wearing down Arkansas's offensive line is, they're not energetic enough to hold. There was a lot of holding in the first half. One thing that I was keeping track of, again, maybe not fully paying attention to what was going on in this game, but Arkansas for a really long time, like they finished with 16 penalties for 121 yards. Mm-hmm. I think 13 penalties or 14 penalties before they finally hit 100 penalty yards, which was kind of impressive. Yeah. It was just one flag after another, like a lot of silly 5-yarders or, spot fouls that didn't result in a ton of yardage, but just incredibly undisciplined team. Like it was really sloppy for a lot of this game. I think there was somebody that, when I do my usual halftime, how you guys feeling? Somebody responded with, I am probably going to turn this game off and watch something else. I'm like, between Missouri's mistakes and Arkansas's flags, like, I don't blame you, man. Like, I've seen better football. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it was, once Missouri quit making mistakes, they sat on the Hogs, and that was kind of what I thought they would do. They ran for well over 300 yards today. And, yeah, like, it was kind of one of those games. I think we were a lot more interested in talking to Drinkwitz afterwards, maybe kind of his quick summation about the season overall, obviously about the contract extension. I hung around and waited for Kevin Coleman because that was his first career punt return touchdown and also Missouri's first punt return touchdown since Luther Burden returned one against Abilene Christian. I believe that was 2022. Mm-hmm. So thought that was kind of cool. talked to Ahmad Hardy a little bit as well. Also came up here, and while I was transcribing, my fingers warmed back up. So now here I am on the show. Where should we go from there?
Well, I was personally, you talked about the penalties. I was personally irritated that the 16th Arkansas penalty prevented Ahmad Hardy from having enough room to lead the country in rushing. Like initially, had Missouri gotten to the 4-yard line on nothing but Ahmad Hardy carries, he would have won the rushing title. And then Arkansas committed the 8-yard penalty that took them too close. I thought Drinkwitz should have turned that down and called timeouts and kept handing the ball to Ahmad Hardy, but I understand. No, largely agree with that. Like, look, it was ugly. I said before this game, I think Missouri can hand the ball off 60 times and win, but in no world did I expect to watch a game where they legitimately did not throw a pass for the last 26 minutes of the game. I mean, they just said, okay, we are fully leaning into this. We cannot throw the football, and we're not going to try the football, run the football. I compared this to watching a Centralia Boonville high school game. Like, it was just like, they said, I know we can't throw the ball, but like this kid over here, he plays point guard, he plays shortstop, he's a hell of an athlete. We're going to put him at quarterback, and we're just going to have 3 guys that can run the ball, and you can't stop it. That's what it looked like.
I mean, first off, at what point was your life so dark that you had to watch Centralia versus Boonville play high school football? Like,
bro, I covered I did Friday Night Football at KOMU as a college student. Trust me, I've seen some. I know a guy who did a documentary on the Higginsville Marceline high school rivalry. So, I've seen some things, man.
That's some small class football.
I think game if you're interested.
I love a good trinket game, to use a word from our awesome colleague Cole Kublik. Love a good trinket game. This was a trinket game, even though I don't know that 185 pounds classifies as a trinket, but
big trinket.
Posted a fun video of Zion Young pushing the trophy because they have it on wheels because it's so heavy, and Drinkwitz is along for the ride. So go check the tweets or the X posts if you want to laugh there. No, I agree with you. Like they could not throw the ball, and whether that was Bo struggling, which he did, or whether it was really rainy, right? So like that played a role in the high snaps, that played a role in just like Bo not being able to grip the ball, right? And so whether it was that, and in tandem with that, I think it was also like Arkansas just couldn't stop the run, man. Like this is a bad defense. It was very similar to the Mississippi State game. Like I think I tweeted this afterwards, like, yeah, Bo struggled, but also like Ahmad Hardy ran for 157. Jamal Roberts ran for a clean 100. Bo Perbula ran for 89 when you adjust for sacks. Like they didn't need to throw the ball, right? And so then you add in the Bo struggles and the rain and whatever else, like just run the damn ball, man. Like I've made reference to that hat. I have it somewhere. I could probably go back and find it now that I finally moved into Columbia a couple months ago. Like run the damn ball. They did that. It was great. And that's just what you do to bad teams. You sit on them. And that's what Missouri did today. And it was fun to watch. It was impressive. Like Hardy was able to break some runs. That 53-yard touchdown run was maniacal. Like he's been so much fun to watch this season, man. Like I don't know if he's going to win the Doak Walker. I imagine he and Kewan
I think
Lacey,
he should.
We can have that discussion. I don't know if like him and Kewan Lacey are probably going to share first team All-American honors with Jeremiah Love, depending on what the publication is going to be. But like that run is just like, holy smokes, dude. Like I counted at least 3 or 4 Arkansas defenders that had a hand on him that probably should have brought him down.
There were 3 guys on him at one time.
Yeah. And he was just like, I'm not going down. Like I'm not doing it. And he broke through. And when he broke through, it seemed like the 2 other Arkansas defenders that maybe could have gotten him down were so stunned that they were just like, excuse me. And then by the time they realized what had happened, he's obviously all the way down the field. Andrew Kessel, 92-61, maniacal. I don't know if I got that right the first time around. But
maniacal.
Maniacal's a lot more fun. I'd rather pronounce it.
I like it.
But yeah, so, no, look, he was a lot of fun to watch.
I don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole, but just explain to me in what way Kewan Lacey should be above Ahmad Hardy for any award. Like, just his team won more games.
Well, I mean, in a similar vein of why Jeremiah Love is probably going to win it. He's a pretty focal point of an offense, maybe less so than Jeremiah Love, but on an offense on a team that is poised to go to the playoff and perhaps even make a run. So I think I'm not saying I agree with it, but that's probably going to be the argument.
I mean, in the same conference against a similar schedule, Ahmad Hardy has better numbers in everything than Kewan Lacey.
I think Kewan has more rushing touchdowns than him, but overall, yes, it's Hardy.
I mean, Kewan's had a good year, but like Trinidad Chambliss is so much better than anything Missouri has put at quarterback this season.
Well, I think we can all
Ahmad
agree
Hardy
that
literally is the offense.
We can all agree that Lane is also a significantly better play caller than Kirby. I don't think that's fair. There's also right, that, but
we got a couple of super chats, and one of them ties directly into that. I did an either, neither, or both with Zollers, Prbula, and being on the roster next year. So we've got another one: either, neither, or both back next year. Kirby Moore and Eric Link. Like, I can definitely make the argument for neither.
Yeah,
I don't know how it will go, and I don't want to predict it because it's not our decision. But you can definitely make the argument for neither, and if it's both, Drink kind of putting himself in the crosshairs. Like, he's got to produce. If he swears by those two guys and he brings it back, like, it's got to get better, man.
Yeah, I think Link for sure. Like, you need to you got to cut bait with that, right? Like, there's way too many. Like you've said, and we've talked about, like, special teams cannot be a liability. Like, at the very least, you just need break even. And
incredibly poetic, though, that special teams ultimately won that game. Like, it
was
so
at least
bad, and then ultimately won the game.
They at least put the icing on the cake, right? Because special teams also led to points for them, and then
but like Oliver Robbins kicks it. But my biggest special teams problem, I said it before you got on. Why has he not been the kicker all year? He's clearly better.
I said the same thing when he kicked the field goal. Like, he like a 41-yard field goal after they got backed up out of the red zone. Like, that's where has that dude been? Why is he sitting on the bench? Right? Like, that was absolutely insane. I think. I'm not saying you should, but I think you can make the case to keep Kirby. And I think the only way people probably feel good about that is if Drink goes into the portal and just hits home run after home run after home run. Yeah. That, and you got to fix the offensive line too. Like, I don't care what kind of quarterback you get. Like, that offensive line's got to get fixed.
But here's my question, man. The offensive line can't be awful because teams know they're running the football and they still do it. Like, they're not great. I'm not saying it's a great line, but, like, it's not awful either.
No,
I don't think it's. I put more of the passing game problems on the quarterback than I do on the offensive line.
I will agree with that point, that when it comes to the passing game, and, like, I'm going to throw today out because it was rainy and they didn't need to throw the ball. So, like, whatever. But they, like, the offensive line, and we knew this pretty early. Joel Panther has a good point there. Hardy has over 1,000 yards rushing after contact. Like,
fair.
You know, and as much as this offensive line is uniquely built to run block, and we've seen them have great moments as run blockers, 1,000 yards after contact. Like, I know Ahmad Hardy's good, and that is a great, like, notch to have on his belt. And that's probably a case that folks will make when it comes to Doak Walker and All-American honors and all that jazz. And he's earned it. Absolutely. But, like, 1,000 yards after contact, like, what are we doing, man?
Yeah.
You know, like, and look, you need a better quarterback, 100%, and a better quarterback could probably have made this offensive line work. But I still think you need to swing for home runs both at quarterback and at offensive line, because because if the offensive line, like, quarterbacks raise the ceiling of an offense, an offensive line raises the floor. And I think I'd have a high, if I had to pick one, I would pick the higher floor.
Fair. Scott Fitz, what brand of lube did they use on the field? Like, in all seriousness, it's hard to see on TV. Like, how much did they say the field conditions were a factor and the weather was a factor?
We could see it. Like, it was raining. It was pretty steady. It wasn't like storming, but it was pretty consistently coming down for a good chunk of the middle portion of the game. So you could tell it was slick. And, like, we all saw it when Bo tried to throw that screen pass, the ball literally just, it was out. So, I mean, it was that moment. And then when the refs obviously fell down, that's when I was like, maybe we should cut the long snapper a little bit of slack. Obviously you can't have those high snaps, but, like, there were the two misses and then there was another punt that Arkansas ultimately returned close to midfield where Wesselman almost dropped the punt because it was just off target. And so I'll give the long snapper a little bit of slack, not a ton, but, like, it was pretty slick out there. So take that for what it's worth.
Okay. Hey, I don't know if the story's up yet or not because I've been in here, but I know you're working on it. Just can you fill the people in real quick, kind of what Drink said about the extension and coming back and all that?
Yeah, the extension specifically, he thanked Laird, right, the board for the extension, talked about what makes Missouri so special. A lot of people reached out to him. He had mentioned that, like Senator Schmidt, The rep, Jason Smith, Coach Pinkel reached out, a lot of big-time donors, big-time names in and around Mizzou and Missouri politics and stuff like that. But I think the big quote is, he said, "We just feel like we weren't done here yet. We're not done. The north end zone isn't completed, so my job here is not completed." And then he also told a story about, and I think this was on our board as well, what was it? The TikTok video of Drink standing in the tunnel at Oklahoma and fans badgering him and him kind of snapping back a little bit. The story that he shared from his perspective on that was they were going out the tunnel against OU. I'm quoting Drink now. And there were some fans yelling about me not going to be there. And that pissed me off. Obviously, we didn't win the game, but it bothered me because it's a distraction to our team. And that was the first time I realized this ain't fair to them. It ain't about me. It's about them. This is their year. This is their season. They're being the players. And so I did what I know I wanted to do. And I guess it was shortly after the Oklahoma game that he texted Veach and said, "Hey, like let's hammer this out. Let's get this done." Wednesday was obviously the executive session. And then, Thanksgiving, they made the official announcement that it was signed. So, he feels like he feels confident that things can be done here. Obviously, we still don't know all the details when it comes to the contract and what it means for NIL and stuff like that. But, he had mentioned the extension in his opening remarks after the game. We asked him another follow-up question just about, hey, why this timing? Like, what is it about this timing that made sense? And he talked a little bit also about college football's wonky schedule, which he had talked about last week. Just about how the schedule of it is kind of messed up and how it's still tied to the academic schedule. And we don't need to get too much deeper into that. But yeah, he felt like the job here is not finished. He called this season 8-4 a good season, not a great season. He thought his team did really well. He thought the Tigers overall did pretty well responding to adversity. 8-4 and two of those 4 losses were by a single possession. The other one was the Oklahoma game where, they had a shot to turn it into a 1-possession game with some time left on the clock in the fourth quarter. And then the A&M game was the A&M game, whatever. But, he feels that they're right there. But it comes back to the whole, jumping from good to great. Like, that's the hardest jump to make when it comes to college football. And clearly by signing the extension and the comments that he made, the story's already up. So go check it out on Power Mizzou. He feels like they're pretty close. And so he wants to be here. He wants to see out some of the things that they've started. And, he's really grateful for Mizzou for being able to, give him basically everything he's asked for. You and I have talked about that when it came to his contract. And, he wants to be the guy that takes Mizzou to the next level. That was the vibe that I got from his comments.
And like I said, and this is probably what I'm going to write whenever we get done here. And I've said it on here. He just won a football game in the SEC throwing 7 passes. He won another one with a third-string quarterback. He won a bunch of them with a backup kicker. This was actually a pretty damn good coaching job for Eli Drinkwitz this year. It wasn't elite. But, to have this team this close, considering all those things, I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah. You and I are going to have a lot of time to kind of take stock of this season. How do we feel about it? What were the big moments? What were the low moments? What are we going to remember? What are we going to look back on and think, so close, right? But 8-4 in the SEC, pretty firmly middle of the pack. You had opportunities to beat a couple of top 10 teams, one at home, one on the road. All 3 teams, I obviously we need to see how the Iron Bowl shakes out tonight, but all 4 teams you lost to, very real shot. All 4 of those teams are in the playoff. So
41-7 is the combined record of the teams they have lost to. So
yeah.
Alabama currently leading Auburn 3-0 with 5 minutes left in the first quarter, by the way.
A lot of time left in that one. But if Alabama takes care of business, the 4 teams you lost to all lost 10 games, and if you're able to flip 2 of those, you won 10 games. So I agree with the good, not great assessment. I think somebody in the comments said probably a B season. I think when we take time to actually take stock and look at everything, a B, I would say B minus probably makes sense.
I think that's fair. All right. You got time for about 2-3 voicemails and then we'll let you run.
Yeah, I got a minute.
All right.
Hey, Gabe, Kevin here in Chesterfield. All in all, I think it was a good, not great season, as you referenced, or rather as Eli referenced earlier. 2 big questions of mine, and I think I'm recording this as you're talking about the quarterback situation, so I'll leave that second. First question, Corey Batoon, got to be in high demand after this season. I wonder how much of those conversations were involved with the Drinkwitz extension, because honestly, he's damn near outperforming Blake Baker in terms of just production on the defensive side. Second of all, do you think we go for the home run like Lenora Sellers if he decides to stay another year at quarterback, or what do you think we do at quarterback? And obviously, feel free to not address that if it has been addressed.
All right, so Corey Batoon, Ray's coming, right?
After this season, yeah. Like, and I
Yes.
understand that like he had some great personnel to work with, but like it's one thing to have all the pieces. It's another thing to make it like to turn it into what it ultimately was. Like you and I have not shied away from the fact that this is a championship level defense, right? And they played well enough to win all 12 games on the schedule this season. So yeah, I agree. Batum deserves his flowers and a little bit more money.
And like Zion Young was a good player coming into this year. He was not a first rounder. Damon Wilson was world of potential, hadn't ever really been the guy. Josiah Trotter was, obviously had a great freshman year, but I think he should be an all SEC linebacker. I think Batum's done great things. And like, that was the first thing that was brought up. The first super chat I think we had was Lenora Sellers. Look, man, if Lenora Sellers wants to enter the portal, like drop that wheelbarrow in front of his house. Let's go. I'd do it.
Hey, who did I text you about this week?
I don't remember. You got to remind me.
Nebraska, the people are going to make fun of me.
Dylan Raiola.
Nebraska's Dylan Raiola is probably going to become available. I don't know where he's headed. He might already have his plans figured out, but man, that'd be a fun quarterback in this system, wouldn't it?
It will be interesting to see because like this offseason, they went balls to the wall in the portal. And quarterback, they kind of took a guy that was unproven. And again, I'm not saying like if Bo wants to come back and fight for the job, that's great. But I wrote after the game, like you can't go in assuming he's your starter. Like you have to bring in competition. And like if you're going to go in the portal, hey, I don't care what it costs. If you're going to go in the portal, do it. Bring in a guy who you think takes you from good to great.
Yeah. For those who are maybe poo-pooing the Raiola idea, I'm not saying yay or nay either way, but like he has been top 20 in quarterback rating all season long. He's thrown for 2,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. He's completing 72% of his passes. He's got a rocket arm. I'm just saying, think about it. That's all.
You're gonna have a hard time selling this crowd on somebody that had the N on the helmet. Is all I'm saying.
Somebody else had it in the comments.
It's not a reason not to take it.
Somebody else in the comments said quarterback hot board. Maybe that's a pretty good off-season story idea.
Yeah, let's see who goes in. All right.
Justin from Jeff City, $73,000 a year. Once drunkenly fell off a second-story balcony, and Kirby Moore makes me want to do it again. I don't know what that offense was, but it is unacceptable. Either Bo is such a bad quarterback that you need him gone tomorrow, or like I don't know what Kirby's doing. Like, has he just been that bad all year? Then why not start?
So I did this at the beginning of the show, and I'll just do it quickly for you. Like, here's my problem. All year, it's just run the ball. Like, we suck at everything else. Just run the ball. We don't run the ball enough.
Yeah.
58 out of 65. Well, that offense sucked. Don't do that. They won the damn game, man. They won the game. Like he is literally operating with a passing game that is non-functional. What do you call?
Guys, they averaged 6.2 yards a carry. 6 yards a carry. They had a rushing success rate of 54%, which is well above average. Like that's like take that and you run with it. And like there was a point in the late in the first half where after Bo had hit 7 passes and like we could tell the rain was still coming down and Arkansas still had not found a way to stop the run. And even Drinkwitz said that too, because we had asked him like, hey, Bo only threw the ball 7 times. Like what gives? And part of that was the rain, but he also said like Arkansas was not stopping the run. So we just decided to lean into what we were doing well until they stopped it, and they didn't. And so that's, yeah.
And like their second drive stalled because Bo missed an open outlet receiver and ran into a sack. The third one stalled because he threw the ball to a tight end that was 5 yards away and missed him. The fourth one stalled because he dropped a screen pass. And another one stalled because he actually finally made a pass and Brett Norfleet dropped it. Like the passing game, why do you want him to call more passes in this game? It was horrendously bad.
Yeah, I think the one comment that I made, I forget when it was, but it was like 3rd and 11. He threw to Norfleet short of the sticks and it went incomplete. And then that's when they botched the snap on the fumble on the punt. And then that resulted in the field goal. And it was just, I was just kind of like, all right, like that's, maybe don't. But then after that, they start, at that point, like when you have Ahmad
I
Hardy,
think that might have been the last pass they threw.
It might have been. Let me go look at it real quick. But also, like, just the thought I had coming into this game was you have Ahmad Hardy, run the freaking ball, man. Right. Just run it. And the last pass he had was a 0-yard completion to Norfleet. That was when Norfleet slipped over here, at least on the sideline close to us. And that was, I think that was confirmation that, okay, let's take it easy on the long snapper.
Like, nobody is arguing that the passing game doesn't need to improve. I said literally they need to tear the whole thing down and rebuild it. So it has to improve, but like, you're not going to improve it in the middle of the game. The point is to win the football game. And if handing it off 58 times was going to do that, their job is to score more points than the other team, not to look pretty doing it.
Yeah, here's a quote exactly from Eli in his opening statement, like before we even asked him questions about the game plan. Like, proud of the team for finding a way to win the game. Ultimately, that's what you have to do. Every game has a life of its own, and you have to find a way to win it. Really, really proud of those guys just doing whatever we needed to do to win.
Yep. Agreed. All right. One more voicemail for you. I don't know if hopefully it's a good one. It's probably going to be the worst one we've had just because that's how it goes, but we'll try it.
Gabe. Brendan C., St. Louis, Missouri. I'm going to shed my Power Mizzou voice for this one because this is the end. This is the end of the year. Kevin Coleman just returned a punt for the house. Never thought I'd see the day. I'm going to skip over that, though, because I'm sure you're going to get enough of that. Just wanted to thank you and Cody for a job well done this season. You guys have been a pleasure to listen to. It's been a frustrating year, but, 8 wins, the chance for 9. I don't think there's any reason to be too frustrated with that. I am, with the drink news, I am optimistic about the future. I am psyched. I cannot wait for the offseason, for the transfer portal, and the roster rating, and all that. So I'm excited, guys. MIZ.
All right. Brendan, appreciate the call, man. Cody, I just want to point out, like he said he was going to – first of all, I didn't know people had a Power Mizzou voice versus like a real life voice. But he said he was going to shed his Power Mizzou voice, but then the rest of the call was just in the same voice, wasn't it?
It sounded like, and that makes me curious what his Power Mizzou voice is. Like, what do we?
Right. Like,
was
that the Power Mizzou voice, or did we not actually hear the Power Mizzou voice? I don't know.
If we do an off-season mailbag, we need him to call back in his Power Mizzou voice. That way we can compare and contrast. Like,
all right. So I'll get you out here with this. Just like the only thing I care about in a bowl game is like, I just want an interesting matchup, right? I want something that we don't see all the time. I don't want to go play Iowa again. I don't like even Iowa State. Like, they have this big thing about matching Missouri up with former Big 12 teams. Like, they played Oklahoma State in 2 bowl games. I know that can't happen, but like, I don't want to see them play Kansas State. They played Kansas State 2 or 3 times. So I don't want to see that again. I don't care what bowl it is, just of the realistic teams that Missouri might get matched up with. What would you like to see? Like, just give me your like, this would be a fun bowl game to cover.
You might roll your eyes or disagree with me, but like, how about Iowa State?
Yeah. I mentioned, I don't know if I love it. But it's fine. Illinois would be, I think I would be more interested in like a Louisville or something. Cause I never see it, right? I've covered Missouri, Iowa State games. I've covered Mizzou, Illinois games. I just like to see teams they don't otherwise ever play personally.
Well, how about, so I'm just kind of scanning conference standings right now and just looking at other 8-4 teams. I don't know that that's exactly how they're going to pair them up, but
it's likely an ACC or a Big 10 team.
Well, how about Arizona State?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Can
Arizona State, maybe Pitt. Could
Cam Scatabo come back and be like honorary just something at that game because he's one of my favorite humans?
How about UW, Washington?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Oh, yeah, hey, Droll Panther, I didn't see your comment right there. That's great minds think alike. I think playing Washington somewhere warm, that'd be kind of cool.
I'd be cool. Washington in the Gator Bowl or the ReliaQuest Bowl or something. I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah, go down to Tampa for New Year's.
Perfect. All right, man. I know you got more stuff to do. So do we. So let you run. Enjoy Fayetteville.
Right on. Peace out, y'all.
All right. We'll see. That is Cody Goodwin live from, I believe it's Donald W. Reynolds Memorial Stadium. I don't know. Somewhere in Fayetteville. But appreciate Cody jumping on. As he said, he already has a story up on the site. So you guys can check that out. He will have more. I'm going to have a column after this. I got about 10 voicemails left. I'm going to zip through those and wrap up, see if we got any more late comments, and we'll get going.
This is what plays in my head when Mizzou special teams are on the football field.
First of all, excellent job getting the sound effect on. I don't know how you did that. I like it. Good call. Best voicemail thus far.
Gabe, it's Schiff. First of all, you don't text, you don't call. What the hell? How was the bourbon cranberries? I have to know. That's our thing this time of year. I'm leaving this voicemail right after Kevin Coleman has one, which changes a bit of my my bit here. But I have two thoughts for you. You once said to me back when I covered the team how this season just it was a Barry Odom season. And you looked at me towards the end of the Arkansas game and just said this season was just kind of happened. It was just kind of whatever. There was no big moments in it. And that's kind of how tonight feels. And speaking of Barry Odom, with all the talk of Eli Drinkwitz staying or going, I think it's worth reminding everyone that, this is like a bad season for Drink. And yet he had a good season in Barry Odom's time. Barry's best season, I think, was 8-4, and this is what a down year looks like for Drink, which just kind of shows just what how he's changed expectations. My final thing with special teams, because I know everyone's harped on it. Where has this been all year? And not even all year, but for the last 10 years. To me, Missouri has not had a good return man since Marcus Murphy left. Luther showed flashes, but then he became too important to throw out there. And to me, if Missouri wants to get to where it wants to go, you need to be respectable in at least two of the three special teams facets: punting, kicking, return man. And this year, they had none really until tonight.
Schiff, agree. The bourbon cranberries were excellent. If I didn't text or call you, it was Thanksgiving. And then I was a little busy, so my bad. We'll get to you. Don't worry. But I appreciate you asking and appreciate the call, man. No, I agree with all of it. Like, yeah, this season, like nobody ultimately will really remember this season. Like, it's not 2023. It's not terrible. It's there. And if this is the down year, that's great. If this is what it is going forward, then hey, in 2 or 3 years, we might be saying, what, $11 million. What are we doing? But we're not there yet. Let's see what happens. This season very much is determined by what comes next.
Hey, Gabe, Patrick from Oakville. I apologize if you played my prior voicemail. I just wanted to say special teams was the difference today between Oliver Robbins' field goal and Kevin Coleman Jr.'s punt return touchdown. I think we've seen enough. It's time to extend Eric Link Jr., and I think it's time for you to take your shirt off. God bless.
I don't know if he is a junior, but I like Eric Link Jr. That's solid.
Where do you want me to start, Gabe? I'm pretty
Anywhere
confident Eric Link couldn't coach fucking Columbia Hickman down the road. He's fucking terrible.
All right, we're good. We've reached our limit there.
Gabe, Cody, this is Jake here. I think it's good long-term that Drink is staying. I think the stability is good. The recruiting is great. I think we'll continue to get better. But something is just fundamentally broken with this team being able to pass the football. Offensive line, the quarterback, the receivers, and definitely Kirby Moore at the top of this pile of what. I just don't know what to do anymore. But I guess we'll just continue to give it to Ahmad Hardy, and hopefully we get out of Fayetteville with the win. MIZ.
100% agree with all of it. But again, that is a thing you fix in the offseason. Like, you couldn't fix it this week. You're not fixing it next week. It's an off-season project. Right now, you just have to do what you have to do to win games.
Gabe, there's only one answer to these offensive woes. It's time to install the triple option. Gabe, there's only one answer.
I wouldn't hate it.
Hey, Gabe, it's Patrick from Oakville. I want to talk
this
to
is
you
the other one.
about the 2014 Oakville Tigers, of which I was a third-string kicker on. Now, we did only go 5-6, but big wins over Fox, Melville, and Seckman. But here's the thing. I shouldn't feel more qualified to coach special teams as a third-string high school kicker than Eric LinkedIn. If he's not fired tomorrow, he has Epstein list level dirt on Eli Drinkwitz, because I don't know what else the explanation would be. I know you can't call for his head, but I'm sure me and 50 other callers will. God bless you. Love you. Take that shirt off.
Love the call. Love reliving the 2014 Oakville season. I think you covered it.
We should consider making our quarterbacks throw the ball before we offer them money.
I like it. We're getting better as we go, guys.
Hey, Gabe and Cody, I just want to say Bo Prabula might be the worst quarterback in the country. How do we have 25 passing yards? I know we have to win on the run game, but our offense is so predictable. And Kirby should be fired, so should our special teams coach. Unacceptable.
Touched all the bases there. Again, I want to say it's not the fewest passing yards Missouri's had in an SEC win. They beat Florida with 21.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good first half. Down 3. Not the end of the world, and you get the feeling this team needs to just, I don't know, feel good about the small accomplishments. Not a lot of top 10 wins in the Eli Drink era, but if there's one thing this team can do is come back at the half and make a good second half out of not the greatest first half. And small accomplishment. This is it. 8-4 looks a lot better than 7-5. Love you.
Love you too. What a way to finish the last voicemail of the last post-game show of the regular season. Just everybody loves each other here. It was fun hanging out, guys. 94 minutes on a game that seemed like it lasted 6 weeks. It was ugly. It was not particularly fun. But they won, and they're 8-4. Let's finish up the super chats real quick. Shout out to Marceline. My grandma is from there. That's going back to the Bell game. There you go. Britt Treese, the stash appreciation super chat. Appreciate that. And what a place to end. Who was in the wrong, Kiffin or the reporter? The reporter was. I referenced it earlier. I'm not going to do anything that could infer that I am calling Eli Drinkwitz any sort of anything even adjacent to a prostitute. This is not an appropriate way to talk about people that you cover and all of that. So if Lane took offense to that, I have no problem with that. He did not assault anyone. He made his point and he carried on. I side with the coach there. Also, for those who said, but you said Eli Drinkwitz shouldn't have said F you to the fan at Oklahoma. So I want to say 2 things. First of all, fans are different than media. You guys get to say what you want. You pay. It's part of the deal. As some of the voicemail people have said, they can say things I'm not going to say. So that's part of it. Also, like, I've not buried Eli Drinkwitz and said he's a terrible person or anything like that. I just said I thought there was going to be some blowback. He explained it on his own after the game today. If you listen to Cody, said I was there. Fans were talking crap about me not being there, and it pissed me off. And I said what I wanted to say because it wasn't fair to my team. Cool. Good deal, man. We're fine. Appreciate it. I didn't need the explanation, but that explains it. So that's the difference there. Look, I thought maybe there would be a little bit of blowback if that got out. There wasn't. I was wrong, guys. It's happened before. I know everybody wants to have a gotcha moment. Eli explained it. I'm good with the explanation. Cool. No worries. And was not trying to make a federal case out of it to begin with. But made it through an entire show and an entire season without calling any member of the coaching staff anything prostitute adjacent. So we consider that a victory here. I hope you guys do as well. Hope you have enjoyed this one and our shows all season long that have been brought to you by our friends at Yuengling. Truly do appreciate all of the support from them over the last 3 years. Hope it will continue. Certainly will continue to the bowl game, but hope it will also continue into the 2026 football season. This is a regular thing now. I've said it a number of times this year. This is the most fun thing we do. I know Cody enjoys it. Even when he's super busy on road games, it's a fun thing to hop in here and kind of decompress and process with you guys before we sit down and write and give you all the full coverage. And it couldn't happen without our friends from Yuengling. And look, I know it's working because like you guys reference it all the time. I have people on radio shows and just like that I bump into say, hey man, got Yuenglings. And so I'm glad it's working. I'm glad you guys have all spent time here. We got up over 500 today, which is, considering we did an hour-long show Friday morning and this game was what it was. I appreciate all of you being here. So if you are here live with us, like, comment, share, subscribe, do those things. If you are listening on the podcast, just leave us a nice review. Let everybody know what we're doing. This is the last one of the regular season. We will have the bowl game. We'll transition to some basketball shows. Going to be doing one next Sunday after the MUKU game from Kansas City. So we'll have that. We'll still do our weekly Monday night shows, all that. So even though the regular season is over, still going to be here on the channel. And look, guys, no better time. If you are one of the people that watches us on YouTube but has never subscribed, 75% off your first year. Go do it. The portal's coming up. Bunch of offseason movement, maybe coaching changes, personnel changes, roster changes, all that. Basketball season, undefeated. Real games are starting this week. So all kinds of stuff. Proud of the coverage we've done all year. Hope you guys can be a part of it. Thanks to Yuengling. Thanks to all y'all hanging out. We'll talk to you next time.